The universe is woven from threads of mystery and light. And nowhere is this more apparent than deep within our own biology. Inside every cell of your body, a grand story is unfolding, a story written in the language of life itself. We often think of our DNA as a personal code, a unique signature that makes us who we are. But what if this code also contains a universal language, a set of keys that connect us to everyone and everything? This is where we encounter the profound beauty of the codon rings. These are not physical rings, but rather families of chemical messengers that operate at the very core of our being, orchestrating the symphony of our physical and spiritual existence. Imagine these codon rings as subtle, energetic fields that emanate from our DNA. They are the living expression of our genetic code, translating its ancient wisdom into the fabric of our daily lives. Each ring represents a specific chemical family, and together they form a complete system that governs the way life expresses itself through us. They are the architects of our bodies, the choreographers of our emotions, and the silent witnesses to our deepest spiritual quests. To understand the codon rings is to begin a journey into the heart of what it means to be human, to see the intricate patterns that connect our inner world to the vast cosmos around us. These chemical families are the foundation upon which our entire reality is built. They work tirelessly behind the scenes, ensuring that the complex processes of life continue with grace and precision. Yet, their influence extends far beyond the purely physical. The codon rings are deeply connected to the archetypal patterns that have guided humanity for millennia. They are the source of our myths, our legends, and our most profound spiritual insights. By contemplating these rings, we are not just studying biology, we are engaging with the living library of human consciousness, a library that contains the secrets to our past, present, and future evolution. Understanding this system is an invitation to see yourself in a new light. You are not merely a solitary individual navigating a complex world. You are a living, breathing part of a much larger story, a story of connection, transformation, and ultimate unity. The codon rings show us that we are all part of a single, interwoven tapestry of life. Every thought you think, every emotion you feel, and every action you take sends ripples through this collective field. This knowledge empowers us to live with greater awareness, compassion, and purpose, knowing that our personal journey is intrinsically linked to the journey of all humanity. The system of the codon rings is both elegant and complete. There are precisely 22 of them, a number that holds deep mystical significance across many ancient traditions. This is no coincidence. This number reflects a fundamental pattern of creation, a sacred geometry that underpins the structure of our reality. Each of these 22 rings is directly linked to one of the 20 essential amino acids, the building blocks of protein and thus of physical life, or to one of the 2 stop codons which signal the end of a genetic sequence. This creates a perfect closed loop, a circle of life that contains all the elements necessary for creation and cessation. These rings are the biological basis for human connection. They are the invisible forces that draw us together, creating the intricate web of relationships that define our lives. Have you ever felt an inexplicable pull towards another person as if you have known them for lifetimes? This magnetic attraction is often the work of the codon rings. When we encounter someone who shares a codon ring with us, there is an immediate and profound sense of resonance. We feel seen, understood, and accepted in a way that transcends words. These connections form the basis of our closest friendships, our deepest loves, and our most powerful alliances. This principle of resonance extends beyond individual pairs. The codon rings are what naturally form us into larger groups, communities, and even entire societies. People who share common rings are drawn together by a shared purpose, a similar way of seeing the world, and a complementary set of gifts. This is the chemistry of teamwork, the biology of community. It explains why certain groups of people can collaborate so effortlessly, creating something far greater than the sum of their parts. These rings are the secret architecture behind every thriving family, every successful organization, and every vibrant culture that has ever graced this planet. As we begin to understand this blueprint for connection, we can learn to navigate our relationships with greater wisdom and grace. We can see that every person we meet holds a potential key for our own growth and evolution. The codon rings teach us that there are no chance encounters. Every interaction is part of a larger divine choreography designed to awaken us to our true nature and our interconnectedness with all of life. By honoring these connections, we contribute to the weaving of a more harmonious and compassionate world, one relationship at a time. The 22 rings are a map, guiding us back to the fundamental truth of our shared humanity. For centuries, spiritual traditions have spoken of karma, the universal law of cause and effect. It is the idea that our actions, intentions, and even our thoughts create ripples that eventually return to us, shaping the circumstances of our lives. While this has often been seen as a purely metaphysical concept, the codon rings offer a startling revelation. Karma has a biological basis. They are the very machinery through which this universal law operates, translating our inner states into the tangible reality we experience. This is a profound marriage of science and spirit, showing us that our DNA is not just a passive code, but an active participant in our spiritual journey. The codon rings function as energetic transducers, converting the frequency of our consciousness into biological and experiential outcomes. When we operate from a place of fear, anger, or scarcity, the lower frequencies, our codon rings constrict. This constriction at a genetic level manifests in our lives as struggle, conflict, and suffering. It is the biological expression of negative karma. Conversely, when we cultivate love, compassion, and gratitude, the higher frequencies, our codon rings expand and open. This expansion allows for a greater flow of life force, manifesting as grace, synchronicity, and abundance. This is the living experience of positive karma. This understanding transforms our perception of karma from a system of punishment and reward into a dynamic and responsive feedback loop. It is not an external judge passing sentence upon us. It is our own biology responding directly to the quality of our awareness. The codon rings are constantly listening to the song of our soul, the frequency we are broadcasting into the universe. They are the bridge between our inner world and our outer reality, ensuring that what we put out is precisely what we receive. This empowers us immensely, as it means we are the ultimate creators of our own destiny, moment by moment. Therefore, the path to changing our karma is not about performing certain rituals or accumulating good deeds. It is about the inner work of raising our own frequency. It is about purifying our intentions, healing our emotional wounds, and choosing to live from a place of love and integrity. As we do this, we literally change our chemistry. We signal to our DNA that we are ready for a new reality, and the codon rings, as the faithful servants of our consciousness, begin to orchestrate a new life for us. They are the biological key to unlocking a destiny of grace, freedom, and deep fulfillment. The individual codon rings connect us in pairs and groups, but their collective power does something even more extraordinary. When all 22 rings interlock and resonate together, they create a single, unified field of consciousness for all of humanity. This is the great secret hidden within our DNA. We are not separate beings. We are individual cells in the body of a single evolving organism. This unified field is the invisible network that connects every human being on the planet, a vast sea of consciousness in which we all swim. It is the biological basis for the mystic's vision of oneness, the scientific proof of our inherent unity. Imagine this unified field as a vast, shimmering web of light, with each human being as a shining node within it. Our individual thoughts, feelings, and actions do not occur in isolation. They are pulses of energy that travel throughout this entire web, affecting the whole of humanity. A thought of fear in one corner of the world can subtly dim the light of the entire network. Conversely, an act of pure selfless love can send a wave of grace and healing that uplifts everyone. This is the profound responsibility and the incredible opportunity that comes with being human. We are all co-creators of our collective reality. This unified field is not a static thing, it is dynamic and constantly evolving. Its overall frequency is determined by the collective consciousness of humanity. For millennia, this field has been dominated by the lower frequencies of fear, separation, and survival. This has created the world of conflict and suffering that we have known for so long. However, something remarkable is now happening. A great shift is underway, a collective awakening that is raising the frequency of this unified field. More and more individuals are beginning to awaken to their true nature, adding their light to the network and accelerating this global transformation. The codon rings are the pathways through which this transformation occurs. As we each work on raising our own personal frequency, we strengthen our connection to this unified field. We become clearer channels for the higher frequencies of love, wisdom, and unity to flow into the world. This is how true global change happens, not through political or economic revolution, but through a revolution of consciousness, one person at a time. The interlocking of the codon rings is the promise of our future, a future where humanity finally awakens to its inherent oneness and creates a world that reflects our true divine nature. Within the grand symphony of the 22 codon rings, some play a particularly pivotal role in the human drama. One of the most profound and powerful of these is the Ring of Life and Death. Now, this is not a name to be feared, but one to be revered, for it holds the keys to the greatest mysteries of existence. This codon ring is chemically linked to the amino acid leucine, which is a vital building block for proteins, and its energy is expressed through a cluster of 6 specific gene keys: the 3rd, 20th, 23rd, 24th, 27th, and 42nd. Together, these 6 archetypes form a powerful vortex of energy that governs the endless cycles of life, death, and rebirth. The Ring of Life and Death is the master manager of change. It is the force that brings new things into being, presides over their dissolution, and clears the space for the next cycle of creation to begin. It is, honestly, the pulse of the universe, the rhythm of expansion and contraction that can be seen everywhere, from the breathing of our lungs to the birth and death of stars. To engage with this codon ring is to stand at the very heart of the creative process, to witness the dance between form and formlessness, chaos and order. It teaches us that nothing is ever truly lost, but is simply transformed. This ring is deeply connected to the core of our human experience because it deals with the one constant in our lives: change. We are born, we grow, we age, and we pass on. Relationships begin and end, ideas emerge and fade away. The Ring of Life and Death guides us through all of these transitions, inviting us to surrender to the natural flow of life rather than resist it. The 6 gene keys within this ring provide a map for navigating these cycles with grace and wisdom, showing us how to find the hidden gifts in every ending and the exciting potential in every new beginning. Contemplating the Ring of Life and Death is a journey into the heart of acceptance. It asks us to make peace with the impermanence of all things. When we live in fear of death, endings, and change, we are living in the shadow frequencies of this ring. We become stuck, stagnant, and unable to embrace the new life that is always waiting to emerge. But when we learn to trust the process, to let go when the time is right, and to be fully present with what is, we unlock the profound gifts of this ring: innovation, simplicity, nourishment, and a deep abiding sense of peace. The Ring of Life and Death orchestrates a continuous and beautiful dance between 3 fundamental forces: change, creation, and cessation. These are not separate events, but really, they're just different phases of a single, fluid process. At the heart of this ring, the 3rd gene key introduces the theme of change through the spirit of innovation. It's the spark of chaos that disrupts the old order, the playful energy that brings forth something entirely new and unexpected. This is the beginning of the cycle, the moment when a new possibility enters the world, challenging the status quo and setting the stage for transformation. From this initial spark of change, the force of creation begins to take hold. This is where the other gene keys in the ring come into play. The 27th gene key brings the energy of nourishment, feeding the new creation and helping it to grow and stabilize. The 20th gene key provides the gift of presence, allowing the creation to be fully embodied and experienced in the here and now. The 24th gene key contributes the quality of silence and invention, allowing for moments of pause and reflection that lead to ingenious solutions and refinement. This is the phase of building, of giving form to the initial chaotic impulse. However, no form is meant to last forever. The law of life is the law of impermanence. This is where the force of cessation enters the dance. The 23rd gene key brings the gift of simplicity, the ability to break down complex structures into their essential components, stripping away everything that is no longer necessary. This is not a destructive act, but a purifying one. It's the process of letting go, of dissolving the old form so that its energy can be released and recycled. This phase is essential for clearing the way for the next cycle of creation to begin. Finally, the 42nd gene key oversees this entire process, governing the conclusion of one cycle and the beginning of the next. Its gift is to let go and let die, ensuring that all endings are brought to a natural and graceful close. This dance of change, creation and cessation is the very pulse of life. The ring of life and death teaches us that endings are not failures, they are completions. Death is not an enemy, it is the doorway to rebirth. By learning to flow with this eternal rhythm, we align ourselves with the creative power of the universe itself, finding freedom and joy in every phase of the cycle. The profound wisdom encoded within the Ring of Life and Death finds a remarkable echo in one of the world's great spiritual teachings, the Four Noble Truths of Buddhism. These truths, born from the Buddha's own deep contemplation of the nature of existence, provide a perfect philosophical framework for understanding the energetic dynamics of this codon ring. They're not pessimistic statements, but practical and liberating insights into the human condition, guiding us from suffering to enlightenment. The Ring of Life and Death is, in many ways, the biological embodiment of this ancient wisdom. The first noble truth states that life inevitably involves suffering or dukkha. In the language of the gene keys, this is the experience of living in the shadow frequencies of the Ring of Life and Death. When we resist change, the shadow of the third gene key, when we are aimless and superficial, as in the shadow of the 20th, or when we try to hold on to things that are meant to dissolve, we create our own suffering. This is the state of being out of sync with the natural flow of life, a state of internal friction and struggle that manifests as pain and dissatisfaction. The second noble truth identifies the cause of suffering as craving and attachment. This directly relates to the energy of the 42nd gene key's shadow, which is the inability to let go. We suffer because we cling to forms, identities and expectations, fearing the emptiness that we believe will follow their loss. The Ring of Life and Death shows us that this attachment is a misunderstanding of how life works. It's our resistance to the natural phase of cessation that causes our pain, not the cessation itself. We try to freeze the river of life, and in doing so, we create the very suffering we seek to avoid. The third and fourth noble truths offer the way out. The cessation of suffering is possible, and it is achieved by following the noble Eightfold Path. This path is a guide to living in the higher frequencies, or gifts, of the Ring of Life and Death. It involves cultivating right understanding, right intention, right speech, and right action, which aligns perfectly with the gifts of simplicity, presence, and nourishment, the 23rd, 20th, and 27th gene keys. The Eightfold Path is a practical manual for raising our frequency, for learning to let go of attachment, and for embracing the dance of change with an open and trusting heart. Within the dynamic energies of the Ring of Life and Death lies a secret that is often overlooked in our serious, goal-oriented world, the profound importance of play. The third gene key, which initiates the entire cycle of this ring, has at its highest frequency the quality of innocence, which expresses itself as play. This isn't just the frivolous play of a child, but the divine play of creation itself. It's the energy of pure, untamed chaos, the unpredictable spark that shatters old patterns and allows for true innovation to emerge. Without this element of chaos, life would become stagnant, repetitive, and devoid of genius. Genius is not born from logic and order alone. True genius arises from the fertile ground of the unknown, from the willingness to embrace uncertainty and to follow a creative impulse without knowing where it will lead. This is the essence of play. It's the freedom to experiment, to make mistakes, to be messy, and to discover something completely new in the process. The Ring of Life and Death teaches us that the greatest solutions to our problems often come not from struggle and effort, but from a state of relaxed playfulness. When we let go of the need to control the outcome, we open a space for unexpected brilliance to flow through us. This creative chaos is essential for breaking through periods of stagnation, both in our personal lives and in society as a whole. When we feel stuck, the tendency is to try harder, to force a solution. but the wisdom of this codon ring suggests the opposite approach. Let go, relax, and invite in the spirit of play. Do something different, something for the pure joy of it. This shift in frequency disrupts the rigid patterns of the mind and allows for new neural pathways to form. It's in these moments of unstructured play that we often have our greatest aha moments, as the genius of the 24th gene key invention finds an opening. Therefore, we must learn to honor chaos as a vital part of the creative process. We must create space in our lives for play, for spontaneity, and for the joyful exploration of the unknown. This is how we keep our spirits young and our minds innovative. The Ring of Life and Death reminds us that life is not a problem to be solved, but a mystery to be lived. By embracing the genius of play and the sacred nature of chaos, we align ourselves with the ever-renewing, ever-surprising, and endlessly creative force of the universe. The ultimate message of the Ring of Life and Death is a call to return to the present moment. The entire cosmic dance of change, creation, and cessation unfolds in one place and one place only: the eternal now. The 20th gene key, with its gift of presence and its highest frequency of self-assurance, sits at the heart of this teaching. It reminds us that all power, all peace, and all life are found in this very moment. When we live in the past, we are entangled in cycles that have already completed. When we live in anxiety about the future, we are trying to control a creation that has not yet been born. Embracing the now is the key to navigating the cycles of life and death with grace. When we are fully present, we're not attached to the forms that are dissolving, nor are we grasping for the forms that are yet to emerge. We are simply here, available to life as it is. This state of presence allows us to feel the subtle currents of change and to respond with wisdom and ease. We know when to act and when to be still, when to hold on and when to let go. This is the self-assurance of the 20th Siddhi, a deep inner knowing that comes from being perfectly aligned with the flow of time. This powerful ring, with its themes of endings and beginnings, ultimately points us toward the positive power of change. It teaches us that every ending is pregnant with a new beginning. Every death creates the fertile ground for a new and more vibrant life. By understanding and embracing this cycle, we free ourselves from the greatest human fear, the fear of the unknown. We learn to trust the process, knowing that even in moments of chaos and dissolution, a higher order is at work, guiding us toward our next evolutionary step. This trust allows us to live with an open heart, ready to receive the gifts of each new moment. The Ring of Life and Death is a profound teacher, guiding us back to the truth of our unity and the power of our own consciousness. It shows us that by embracing change, by honoring the cycles of creation and cessation, and by grounding ourselves in the power of the present moment, we can transform our lives and contribute to the healing of the world. Let us not fear the dance of life and death, but let us join it with courage, with playfulness, and with a deep and abiding love for the beautiful impermanent journey of being human.